Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast. Today, we're going to continue with the theme of what's working today to break through the noise and get those meetings that we want to get into those key accounts, communicate our value, our message, and engage people. So I have Jason Price, the CEO and founder of CoVideo on, and we're going to get into it. I had him on the B2B show talking about more how he built out his sales team, but today we're going to be talking about the actual tactics that he and his team use to just go bonkers growing their business using video and email. We're going to get into the interview, but before we do, I want to make sure you've checked out Prezi. Prezi.com/brutal truth. You get 2 free weeks of using the product. I've been using it now for about a month. I'm loving it. It gives you the ability to not only build your presentations graphically from the very beginning, but it enables you to tell a story where you can have a canvas instead of these slides, one after another, blah, 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 and making points. Instead, you start where your customer is today and you take them through a journey graphically. Now, it's text as well, but it's super easy to use and very powerful to guide you through it. And as both the presenter and the person getting the presentation, it's so much more engaging than slides. You got to check it out. At least take a look at it. Either go to their website. Plus, they got a fantastic blog. So I'm partnering up with them on their blog as well to take some of their content that is super good, highly polished stuff, get it onto the podcast so that we can understand how to build these stories, how to communicate our message better, both visually and auditorially, and able for you to convince people and build videos off of this. I'm using it to build my courses because it's so much more engaging than PowerPoint. So check it out, Prezi.com/brutal truth. You get 2 free weeks and the best support you can imagine. Let's get into the interview with Jason and wait to the end. I'll sum it up then. Hey, Jason, welcome to the show. Hey, it was a way of getting started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, first of all, Brian, thanks for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. So I founded a company back in 2004. The name of the company is CoVideo, and we're currently based in Indianapolis, Indiana. We got 30 employees. And I started this company right after I graduated from Purdue in 2003. My best friend, childhood best friend, and someone I've known for a long time. And I built this company together. Give you a sense of CoVideo. It's really just at its core a video email application that gives sales professionals really the ability to very easily send personalized video emails. So we're focused on sort of giving our customers solutions that really help them, build better relationships with their prospects and ultimately close more deals. So we're just looking for really creating ways using video to create a better way to communicate.
Well, I mean, I get a lot of emails, every day from the listeners, and the number one problem is getting meetings. Now,
Sure.
You have any experience with that?
Every day, right? If you're in sales, you have it for sure.
Now, how has your process evolved? And what's working for your team today?
Yeah, so I mean, truthfully, it's using our technology, and it goes back to when we started the company in '04 and '05 and evolved to a much more structured process now, and that is using our technology as the first response. So I think there's 2 ways you can look at it. First, on the inbound side, when a lead comes in, someone's requesting some more information about our application or what we do, the first communication back isn't that boring plain text email that pretty much everyone sends, right? Yeah. Which is oftentimes automated. It's a very personalized video from the sales rep. And then oftentimes we have thousands of customers, right? So once we get the information and that lead comes in, it's very likely that we've done business with someone within that market or vertical or similar business. So within the personal video we send back to them, we talk a little bit about the success we've had within that industry, some things we think we can help them out with, and really use that video to convert them into an online presentation, and it works magically. And the same thing goes for outbound programs. So, if anybody that's doing cold calls, we know how brutal they can be. So instead of just picking up the phone and dialing and being cold, we start that process with a couple very targeted video emails. Now, these aren't personalized because it's, we're doing 100 calls a day, so it's impossible to record a video for everybody. But we record these very sort of like, candid videos where we sort of introduce the rep and the company as a way to create that warm intro. So then when the video is viewed and then you pick up the phone, that cold call isn't quite as cold. And so, whether you're looking inbound or outbound, we basically drive our business just using our technology.
So what would you say like your open rate is today? Do you follow those stats?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think you got to look across the board on basically how you're looking at what the lead is. So if you're looking at somebody that is already a warm lead, right? Someone that's requested information
Inbound,
or it's a referral or an inbound lead, we're looking at 70% on the open rate.
How about on the cold outreach? You know, they don't know you, you don't know them.
They don't know you. Yeah. So we're about 20 to 25%, and that really varies. It can actually drop as low as maybe 18%, but it depends on the industry and the market you're going after. But it's actually I take that back. That's not just open, that's click through.
Okay.
So that is, they have actually viewed the video and watched your video to entirety. And frankly, when you get a cold opportunity that's doing that, trust me, that turns into a much warmer one.
And who are your reps going after? They're going after a VP of sales? They're going after an individual contributor?
Yeah, so we have so in our sales organization, we have 15 people, and we're sort of segmented in different groups. We have some people going after individual opportunities, salespeople like real estate agent, mortgage brokers, things of that nature. We have a small department going after automotive dealerships, because they obviously are communicating with a lot of online leads. And the rest of our group is more focused on enterprise, right? Vice president of sales, CMOs, organizations that have, a captive sales force that are talking and dealing with leads all the time, especially when they're getting online leads, right? Because we know that when a lead comes online, it's very anonymous. So how can we sort of be more engaging, build that trust much earlier? And those are the opportunities where video makes a lot of sense. And
where do you see video going? I mean, today it's, are people really understanding it, or do you really have a learning curve that you have to engage them on?
That's a great question. And Brian, you got to go back to, it's been a long transition for us, right? So if you go back to 04, 05 when we launched, YouTube hadn't been out when we first got there. So you go back to the early days, no one was thinking about video, right? And I think what's happened naturally over the last 13, 14 years is that video is on everyone's radar. 80% of traffic in 2018, it's going to be video. If you go to any trade show, event, blog, online magazine, everyone's talking about how important video is. And the reason being is that it's very inexpensive and the ROI is significant, right? Because we know the old way of doing business, sending those plain text emails, sort of trying to create that amazing first impression. It's like, how much personality those emails have? Not much at all. And so the transition or I think the wave of sort of people looking for video is significant. I can just see it from our online leads, right? So our outbound program was created a while ago really to sort of control our funnel and create opportunities. A significant amount of our opportunities right now just come in from traffic to our website, whether it's people looking for it from an SEO or pay-per-click perspective, referrals, or people that's seen it. And so the wave of people looking for videos is really growing massively right now.
And the reps on your team, what differentiates the great ones from the okay ones?
That's great.
And hope they're not listening.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're listening right now. So maybe I can encourage the not so great ones to be a bit greater. I think what differentiates them, there's a lot of things. I'm sure you can look at a lot of different ways what makes a great rep great, right? But for me, and I think it's the way sales are changing, it's the discovery process. I think sort of the old way of just like you get someone online, you run through a product demo, you do a product presentation, you get to the call to action at the end, they buy or they don't buy. It doesn't work anymore, right? Our customers are coming so incredibly informed. The amount of research they're doing ahead of time, what they know about their business. So when you get that sort of person on the phone, knowing that they already have some ideas in mind in terms of their business direction, how it might work, if you're not doing the discovery, if you're not focusing on the client first and what their pain points are, you're going to have a bad time. And so what I find is that our best salespeople, honestly, and this is no exaggeration, you take a 30-minute sales call, I bet 70, 80% of it is a very robust conversation around the business situations going on with that company, what their pain points are, what their struggles are, what are some ways that our solution can help it. And then a small piece about, by the way, here's Covidian and here's how easy it is to use, right? I would say on the flip side, the not so great ones, they try to do that, but I think there's a skill to that, right? Yeah. It's easy to say, hey, do the discovery, really build some rapport with this customer. But as you start sort of going down the rabbit hole in that discovery, if you don't have enough confidence in yourself or in your product, it can be quite difficult. So I just would say the more that people focus on sort of the client and building the skill set around the discovery piece, that's the most important thing that I can see.
Yeah, I think today too many people are focusing on the process without the person being involved. I mean, right. And I think, because I have a partner, Gong, who analyzes thousands and thousands of these calls, and they're trying to find the gap between that top 10% and that middle 80, and the bottom 10 go away. And
what are they seeing?
Well, they're seeing exactly what you said, that people are not going 2 or 3 questions deep into things. They're going the one question, what are you facing today? And then they don't dig into that. Oh, our open rates have been cut in half in the last year. Oh, okay. How's that impacting you?
Sure, of course. Right.
It's like pretty badly, because that difference, because that top 10% is probably selling more than that middle 80.
Oh, yeah. Right? No question.
Yeah. So, the 80-20 rules is kind of even condensed in sales. And, trying to fill that gap is critical, not only for the company, but that middle 80, because they want to be in the top 10%.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, just talking to you now, Brian, it's almost like I got to look in the mirror, because as we're talking through what makes a great salesperson great and maybe one that's average, it really is sort of understanding the customer and then building a solution for them as opposed to just selling them features, right? And it's almost like as managers or leaders, we just got to do a better job of, giving our average salespeople the tools and the coaching to be able to handle those discovery pieces much better. And frankly, they could be self-motivated and go online and probably figure it out themselves. But that is probably the biggest change that I think if we could see that, the 90-10 would actually maybe move to 80-20 or 70-30. But it's all about that discovery.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things about video that kind of separates it is that when you look at text, everyone's looking for the magic subject line, the magic words, the magic call to action. And again, they're forgetting that it's a human being on the other end of that email.
Right.
And I think a video, it comes across, you see more, you get more senses. It adds visual, adds auditory to the conversation. So you're automatically increasing the bandwidth there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that's striking for me is, let me ask you a question. When you think of, let's go back to that great salesperson. What are some qualities do you think that great salesperson has? Like for me, I mean, a good salesperson's friendly, trustworthy. What are some other things do you think the great salespeople have?
I think for me, it was always number one was they could comprehend what the other person was thinking. And I've got Chris Voss up later this afternoon, who's a FBI negotiator. And so I've been preparing for that interview. I've been studying him. And he raises that. And he's wondering, why is this person holding a hostage? What's in it for them? What's motivating them? And instead of, what do I have to give to get that hostage out? Right? So it's, and when I was
serious stuff.
I was an enterprise sales guy, and I always kind of say, what's motivating them? Why are they going to do this? And you can't ask why. You have to find out why, because no one's going to tell you why.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you bought a car, in the last 5 or 10 years. If I ask you why you bought that car, you won't give me the real reason.
No.
You'll say, oh, it's for my family, or it snows here. It's like, no. It makes me feel great. It's a great stereo system. I like the color. There's those emotional things. And if you can't get there with people, then you're not going to understand why they're going to do it or if they're going to do it. You're going to hear their words, which is like the first level of their interface. But it's not the real thing. What you have to do is get at the heart of what they really want.
Yeah, no, I mean, you and I are speaking the very same language. And I think the great salespeople, I mean, they have this sort of dynamic personality, right? They do things a little bit different. And so when let's take it back to the email, for example. So when you take a look at like what a typical first response email looks like, or an email communication before you even get on that call, I mean, we said it before. I mean, it's almost certainly plain text, right? But we know that these great salespeople, they bring a different presence, right? They bring a different ability in terms of their confidence and how they can connect with people. And, there's a famous study done that showed the words we use only accounts for 7% of the overall effectiveness of a communication. And that is staggering, right? That means that 93% of the message is the audio and visual. So I think what video allows these great salespeople to do, and actually can make an average person much, much better, is it allows them to basically integrate those pieces, get their energy on camera, and really connect with that customer so that when they get on the call, it's almost like that relationship is getting built much faster.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation with other people about, being, on site, and I'm sure that you've met many customers, and the amount of communication and bonding and rapport building face to face is fantastic. Now, that's expensive and time consuming,
right?
But when you add that video component to the conversation, the screen's sharing, and all of a sudden you see something work, and then you see somebody's face, and you can all of a sudden see their emotional reaction, their the confusion or delight or whatever it is. You kind of get that next level, and the words, they don't do it very well.
No.
Now, I mean, I'm sure you must read a ton of cold emails. Now,
sure.
What's your typical reaction to them?
Well, I get too many, right? Yeah. Like most business owners, usually pretty bored. I got to tell you, honestly, most of the time I don't know what they're selling.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
Well, they're typically selling more of your time buying their stuff. They want a meeting,
exactly.
Right? They want is a meeting. They want 20 minutes. And, I did a video on YouTube about, when you go up to a stranger and ask for $20, they're not going to give it to you, right?
Right.
So that's what you're doing in a cold email. You're asking, say if someone makes $80K, you're asking for 20 minutes, that's $20. And what are you giving? Right. Curiosity? That's not worth $20. Sure. You're giving nothing. And I think, and I get a lot of cold emails. That's the first thing I ask for when people ask for help. Is like, Brian, I'm not getting any meetings. I go, well, send me what you're sending out. And it's always, hey, this is me. I work at this great company. We have this great product. Here's my calendar link. Just pick a time that works for you. And you're like, why? It's 100% about you.
Sure. No, you nailed it. And I think that's where, going back into our marketing strategy, or at least how we do our outbound approach, we go after very specific verticals, right? So whether it's a vice president of sales at a sales organization or a specific market that we're attacking, we know those markets very well, right? We've worked with a lot of customers in those markets. And so when we build our communications out to our customers, what we're talking about to them, it is, of course, wanting to set a meeting. So let's be honest. But it's really more about, we know how video can work within their business. We know some pain points that they probably have because all of our customers within that vertical or market have those same pain points. And so the video message, and this is what makes it so compelling, is it's not just written down. We're able to articulate that in this sort of powerful, connected video to the customer, and we're speaking right to them face to face, right? I mean, we're not live, but they can see us and they can hear what we're saying. And it's more about delivering a message that gives them a solution to stuff that probably is almost inevitably going wrong within their business. And I think if we take more time to really think through the strategy of those cold emails, not just adding video, but really thinking through the content of the video, that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think people just are trying to move too fast. They're trying to build know, like, and trust into one email.
Right.
And I think that you got to understand that people don't think that way. If they don't know you, they're not going to like you or trust you. So you got to kind of build that up in a process, in a step, not at your pace, but at their pace.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, when people do adopt video, what's the difference between the ones who really have success with it and the ones who don't?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to we've said really the process, right? We just talked about, for example, how someone sends a plain text cold email, right, which is super boring, not offering much, and just trying to set an appointment, right? Now, on the flip side, while video is significantly more engaging, and even if the message isn't great, it's going to connect you a little bit better and build some rapport, right? The same thing goes, and that is you still need to think about your customer. And you need to think about the message and make sure you're delivering something compelling for them. especially on these cold emails, right? And so I think what we find in terms of the people that are using it the best is that they've got a process down. And that's part of what our account management team does here on our success team. And it's really talking through best practices, right? And sometimes it's really restructuring the entire way that they communicate in terms of their emails. But it's really starting to think back, who is their target market? What are their pain points? And how can we connect with them in such a way to let them know that we have solutions that can make their business significantly better? And so we find that the customers that have the best success with CoVideo are the ones that really take the time to deliver very strong messages that make more sense and convert a lot more customers.
And the people who are not successful, that they're not embracing that, or they're trying to do it too fast, or
yeah, it could be that. So it goes back to like anytime you have a strategy, right? So once again, like you're mentioning too fast. So let's say that, I'm a salesperson and I get a lead to come in, or let's talk actually about an outbound, right? I love the outbound approach because it's so strong and creates such a great ROI. So I'm a salesperson at an organization and we sell a piece of software that helps a certain industry, right? So if I just record a quick video myself and say, hey, I'm Jason, love to get to know you more. I work for this company. Let me know when you have some time, et cetera, et cetera. This sort of very sort of unengaging sort of approach. Now, I can tell you that the conversions are still higher. That's the beautiful thing. Because they've taken the time to record that personal video, they're still going to have some level of success. So that's the beautiful part. Just by simply incorporating it, they're still going to be above average. But it's the ones that really take a step back, to go back to our earlier conversation on the discovery, and that is, look, if you're approaching a vertical that you've been doing business with for 5 years, you know that vertical. You know their pain points. So within that video, let's talk about some things that we can really do to help them. We don't want to talk too long. But then the other piece that makes CoVideo a little bit different, these videos are delivered in a branded, what we call template for the business. And you can set up links within that template. And so a lot of it is, can you drive them to a resource that gives them more information that might help their business? Can you create some gives that can get them more excited about who you might be as a partner? And so it's all about sort of taking that engagement to the next step. Those are the ones that do it the best. The ones that don't take that time, they don't do it quite as well. But once again, it's still better off than the average plain text email.
And are you seeing, text email just dying off, or at least from the cold standpoint, or is effectiveness?
I sure hope it does. It's going to take some time, right? I mean, we're positioned well. I think everyone's talking about video. I just think if you're an organization and you're looking at your outbound strategy, the cold emails you're sending, and you look at truly the ROI on it, by doing something and incorporating something as inexpensive as video, because we know, here's the one thing, we know as salespeople that when we get that person on the other end of a cold call, it's kind of uncomfortable for everybody, right?
Yeah.
They're uncomfortable because they didn't expect our call, so we're intruding on their space. We're uncomfortable because we know they didn't really want us to call, right? Yeah. And so it's sort of a lose-lose for everybody. And that's where the video component, to where we can drop a video in their inbox where they get to personally see us and meet and connect and see our personality and our passion and deliver a much more engaging response. What's going to happen is that rapport building starts before the first call. And I'm telling you, and that's what makes this so unique in the cold call process. So whether you're using CoVideo as a standalone, or you have CoVideo integrated into Salesforce or one of your CRMs, as a salesperson, when I get that immediate notification that someone's viewing my video, and I stop what I'm doing and I pick up that phone, that call is not as cold. And it may not be warm, right? Because clearly they weren't looking for your company, but what's going to happen is it's going to be lukewarm, because they're going to feel that connection to you, and the results are significant. So yeah, I see over time, especially as we transition the next 3 to 5 years, I think video will be probably the most used component for outbound strategy with the greatest ROI because of how expensive it is.
Yeah, because it is much more social, and it is kind of an icebreaker. Because it's even better than going to someone's LinkedIn profile and kind of, okay, you see a picture there and you get a little bit of their background, a little bit of their interests and personality. But, the picture's probably 5 or 10 years old.
It's sad. Mine is too. I look very young anyway. If you go to my profile, it looks like I'm like 18 years old and I'm 36. So I'm just going to make a note right now to go change mine. That's a good point, Brian.
Put some gray hair on yourself or whatever. But when you see a video, now you you feel like you know somebody. You get a sense of who they are, how they speak, kind of their gestures, their energy level. And then when you get on the phone, it is kind of, it kind of makes that first 5 minutes a lot warmer.
It does, yeah, and we're seeing it all the time. So I anticipate, for example, I'm going to be out at Salesforce, the Dreamforce conference next week, and I'm speaking about using video in the outbound process. It's a massive event. I think a couple 100,000 people. I mean, I think this is just starting to show that people are now starting to recognize that video is the component, and I think the wave's just going to keep getting bigger.
Yeah, I mean, because clearly all the social channels are adopting it and integrating it, and it just brings you to that next level.
Sure.
What objections are you getting, though, from like VPs of sales or even sales reps about it? Is it just too much work, or it's like they feel self-conscious?
We're sort of in this great spot, right? So we're getting a lot of just general interest just from our inbound, right? But in terms of the way our outbound works, what we're finding is that a lot of people still haven't really thought about applying video to their communication strategy, right? So in a lot of ways, the objections don't really exist to some degree because they haven't really thought about what does it mean, how would we use it. So we're sort of going into these calls with a really clean slate, right? And this goes back to what we talked about, the discovery piece, right? So if you're a VP of sales, we get on this phone and we really start talking through like, what are your pain points, right? What's your appointment set ratio? Do you have an outbound strategy? If you don't, why don't you? If you do have one, what's working, what's not working? And almost inevitably, it's always the same thing, right? Where they're not setting enough appointments, they're not closing enough deals. Yep. And I think what it goes back to is that, here's a great example, right? So just by incorporating a video, these are automated videos in the cold call process, we get people just responding back to the video saying, yeah, I'll do an appointment, set me up. Here's the time trade, I'm in, right? Think about that. How many cold emails do we get when we just write someone back and say, sure, I'll see your stuff? That never happens.
Never happens.
And so what we're doing really is sort of starting from the baseline and working from a solution, because we know that when it's integrated properly in an organization that, look, everyone wants more appointments and more sales. So when we start there and we find out where we can have an impact, that's where it makes the most sense. In terms of objections, as we really get through it, it's inexpensive, so it's never really priced. It really will come down occasionally just to roll out, right? So like right now, I'm rolling out CoVideo to a massive travel agency. They have 1,500 agents, and their big objection is, man, that's a lot of agents, and we want everyone speaking the same language, and we don't want these guys to be confused. And so what they're doing is rolling out at least to start in groups of 100. And so that's sort of what we've got to work through is, okay, that's what we do well. We have the environment here, the coaching, the team to make sure that that's all handled for you. And it's really building a structure that they feel comfortable with. But I'd say if anything that we struggle with anything, it's just, especially these bigger organizations, is just really understanding how to roll it out.
Yeah, because how about the reps themselves? Are they self-conscious about like doing a video of themselves or being, thinking that, I'm not an actor or,
yeah,
I don't have that movie star good looks?
Yeah, no, they can be, right? There's no question about it. I'm sure there's people listening. It's like, oh man, I'm nervous to be behind the camera. But here's what I tell people, and I think it goes back to the way that we launch and sort of train and support our customers. And that is we give them sort of the structure to be successful. And the most important thing that we do is we get them going, right? We sort of motivate them to give it a try, because once you get a couple videos going, the results happen so quickly. It's usually the momentum picks up and sort of the concern about the video and me being on camera goes away just because the success is there. But what I always tell people is this. Look, if you're on a phone call with somebody and you say something really dumb, you can't hit stop and rewind and have them not hear that, right? Yeah. You're just kind of in trouble. Or if you're in a face-to-face meeting and something doesn't go right, you've just done it, right? So like right now I'm this with you. If something goes wrong, I don't know if you'll edit it or not, but like you're stuck in these situations, right? That's what happens. The beautiful thing with video is that you start your video. If you say something you don't like, you click stop and you re-record it. Yeah. And you do it as many times as you get it right. And I think what you find is that when you stop focusing on the camera and you just talk to the customer like they're a customer, right? So like for me, I just look right at the camera. So I'm not seeing myself on the video or moving around. I'm just looking right at the camera. I don't even get a sense that I just feel like I'm talking. And then as you get into that habit and realize, man, I just said something kind of dumb, I'm going to redo it. It makes it actually much easier than anything else you're doing.
And what makes a great video? I mean, have you done any analytics on it as far as like the test of the ones that people really, sit through or the ones that people just like give up on?
Yeah. So the most I can tell you without a doubt, the best videos are the authentic videos.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes time, right? I mean, you have some people that can get behind the camera and they're just comfortable with themselves, right? And I think this is what also makes it easier for them, is that you don't need to be someone else. You're not a movie star. You're not in Hollywood. You don't have to script something. You're gonna may stutter a bit. You might misuse a verb tense as you're talking, but that would happen if you're on the phone anyway. It's not a big deal, right? This doesn't have to be perfect. And so a lot of it is just about getting them comfortable with the camera and sort of making the effort to record those videos.
And for the reps that are listening and they're having trouble and they want to give video a shot, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, it's easy. Just head up to covideo.com. So we offer a 10-day free trial. It's a very supported trial. So when you sign up, you'll get free access to the software, but you'll also get during that time a communication from what will eventually be your account rep. And so what they'll do is set up, a quick meeting, as much time as they can give, 10, 15, 20 minutes, to not only show them how to use the software, but really talk through best practices. How can they implement it? What are sort of the videos they should be sending? Because, more than likely we've worked within their industry, so we know how they can use it. And we really coach them very strongly throughout that 10 days to make sure that they get success with it. And it's no obligation.
Hey, everybody, I hope you all go to covideo.com, check it out, get 10 days, see if it has a real impact on you. Give it a shot. There's no downside. Just try it. And I've seen a lot of people just write their name, have a little chalkboard, a little whiteboard, little handheld one that says, "Hi, Joe. It's me from XYZ company," up in the video. That way you're guaranteed they're going to open it. Joe being the name of the person you're sending it to. It's a gimmick, and it might not only last for a few more months, but it gets people to open those emails. Also, stay tuned to the podcast. I'm really going to do a whole series with Gong and what's working today as far as the difference between A players and B players. Now, I also have the Maverick Matrix, that my definition from throughout my whole career in certain categories. And Chad's going to be back on the podcast. We're going to talk about it as well. But we're going to have it both analytically based, off of real science, and then off of anecdotal experience for two old sales guys. So it's going to be a great topic, and it really helps people understand, what are the things that I have control over that I can become better at. Now, a lot of people say mindset and hard work and stuff, but I think we're beat to death with that. I think we all know we have to be positive and work our butts off and hustle. We all know that. We've done that to death. But what skills can we develop and become better at? And the easy ones, like listening. Not doing anything is the easiest thing that we can do, but yet a lot of us don't have control over that. If we had more control over that, we'd sell more. So stay tuned for that. If you'd like to understand how Jason's sales team is organized, check out the B2B Revenue Show. We go into gory detail how he came up with his sales model that's working great for him. And stay tuned for the podcast. Going to do a lot of stuff with Chad as far as the differentiators between A and B players. The Maverick Matrix you get for free by joining the Maverick Sellers Group on LinkedIn. You get it back auto-responded to you immediately, all free. And really, I appreciate everybody who writes a review. Now on iOS, on your new iPhone, it's super easy to put a new review on there. Just scroll down when you're listening. Give it 5 stars if you don't have time, or just type in something that's flattering, please. If you want to give me constructive feedback, the way to do that is on LinkedIn or email me. I'm still offering the whole Maverick Selling book free if you post a review on your favorite podcast player, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever it is. Take a screenshot of it, email it to me at briangburns@me.com. Really appreciate you listening. Please tell somebody this week about the brutal truth and help spread it. Thanks.
I want to know the truth, because deep down in places that you don't talk about are team and management meetings. You want me on that call. You need me on that call. We use words like fleet view, volume control, total cost of ownership. We use these words as a backbone of a life spent negotiating something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor inclination to explain myself to people who rise and sleep under the very blanket of revenue that I provide and then question the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, may I suggest you pick up a phone and make some sales calls. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to.
Did you expense the lap dances?
I did the job I was hired.
Did you expense the lap dances?
You're goddamn right I did!